That's good, man. Appreciate y'all coming together, man. 2K is blacked out. It's a perfect platform to talk about it, man. Perfect platform to pay your respect or share your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody want to be involved. People go to gaming as a leisurely activity. And you're caught up in what's going on. Some people go to gaming to escape what's going on in the real world. It is what it is. Share your feelings, share your thoughts. I appreciate y'all, man. Respect to y'all too, man. Blessings to y'all too, man. You don't need to be so heavily involved to have a thought or an opinion. To have a platform like this and to be able to kind of, there's one thing probably that we all got in common, and that's we play 2K. You know what I'm saying? So whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Asian, Spanish, there's a good platform to say, all right, we're like minds, we share something in common, so let's talk about it. I got the message. I was about to record a video, and then I got the message, and then I noticed some good conversation taking place in our Discord. If you guys are not familiar with our Discord, you might want to join in. People don't understand the politics. A lot of people don't understand the politics behind, some people say, oh, Black Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter, and then another side of people that say, it should be all lives matter. And the argument there is, why is it when someone says Black Lives Matter, why do people take that as an insinuation that all lives don't matter but Black Lives Matter? It's good to think that all lives matter, but the whole concept has been weaponized to go against the meaning behind why Black Lives Matter has evolved. It's unfortunate that everything kind of gets weaponized out here. Everything is used as a tool while people are using words to fight, in office. They're using words to make these fights happen. People are really losing lives IRL in the real world. People that are out there are losing lives. There's a lot of antagonists out there that make these things happen. But all I mean to say is that while people are weaponizing words in office, there's people that are actually experiencing this stuff in real life. Rest in peace, George Floyd. This is the story that a lot of people are not privy to, man. That's what people just don't understand. Bless says something really interesting in Discord as well. I grew up in the PJs, you know what I'm saying? And the cops will literally just come by and just park there and surveil us like if we were, locked up, like if we was inmates. And this was just so second nature to me growing up. That was not, it didn't even dawn on me till I saw his comment on Discord, where it's just man, I could think of a million, maybe not a million is exaggeration, but hundreds of times, because I was always out in the street from really young, always out. It was always second nature that they would pull up and they just sit there and watch us. Not only that, we had the cameras too that were installed on our buildings that could see for blocks. It was just second nature. We'd be fighting and the cops would just pull up, not even stop the fight. They'll just pull up and watch. It's true. They watched us like we was inmates, which I didn't even think of. It was so commonplace. It wasn't even a thought until I saw it. So I actually read the words that they watched us like we were inmates. But there's a good opportunity to kind of share your thoughts and experiences with people who are, maybe they're not from the same neighborhood you in. Maybe they don't understand. A lot of people don't understand the struggle. I tell you the truth, I was mentioning this yesterday on my live stream. This is just real rap, real talk. Where I'm from, I didn't see white people growing up. It's just a pure fact. And I'm from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. This is how disconnected our neighborhood. We're talking about Manhattan in New York, the Lower East Side. We're not talking about an outer borough. I'm from Manhattan, the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and I didn't see white people growing up. That sounds insane. That gotta sound insane to a lot of y'all out there. That's how disconnected our neighborhood was from the rest of Manhattan. I'm from Alphabet City, Avenue D. This is different now. Gentrification changed all of that, but they didn't come down to Avenue D for years of my life. I would venture out. I would be the one that would venture out and go to Midtown, Mad Young, and go downtown and Battery Park to Midtown to Uptown. I'd be the one dolo going and venturing out the whole city, walking into Tiffany's at 11 years old yo, I'm good. That was always my mentality. That nobody could stop me. Lord knows I just didn't know any better back. In the same way that I didn't, listen, take this in, y'all. In the same way that I didn't see white people growing up, there's a lot of white people that grow up not even seeing black people. So take that into consideration for a second. The same way that we grow up. So, and I'm not dismissing ignorance. I'm not dismissing brutality in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm just saying that there's a certain, that ignorance, when you get blasted by the media with a certain depiction of a people, a certain way of being of a people, then you take that because you have no actual knowledge of how people interact. Like, you have no actual knowledge of a culture, of a whole culture. You have no actual one-on-one, you know, like that feel for a culture. Your brain only calculates what has been given, and what has been given on, as far as the media is concerned, is not good. You know, you take some of these rookie cops and you put them in some of the toughest neighborhoods. I was talking about this with my wife the other day. Take some of these rookie cops from the suburbs who have no experience with black culture, and you put them in some of the roughest neighborhoods. It's almost like it's set up, man. It's almost like it's just all predetermined. You take rookie cops from neighborhoods that don't know anything about hood culture or black culture or minority culture and put them in their neighborhood and expect there are going to be some good results there. There ain't going to be no good results there. It's going to be abrasive, you know. You're going to be scared. You're abrasive because you're mostly fearful. And now you put somebody who's fearful, you put a gun in their hand, and then you put a badge and some level of authority in their hand, and now they don't know how to communicate with another human being because they've been fed all of this by the media. And it's not true that everybody is racist. Don't let that. You young out there and you believe that everybody is racist, you're wrong. Everybody is not racist. It's not how it is. All white people are not racist. All black people are not racist. Speaking more so about history repeating itself all too often. Not about everybody is racist. You ain't gonna walk around. You can't just sit around, walk around and think everybody is racist. Don't live with that. You don't even want that weight on you. Trust me. Trust and believe. You don't want that weight on you. This is Tanner, by the way, saying this. Being white, growing up in a mostly black and Vietnamese neighborhood, I saw firsthand hardships that they face compared to me. It is very sad. Cops treating me differently when they stop me. Everything was just so second nature. You get stopped, you get frisked, pause, but you get searched and put up against the wall or get sat down on the curb. It's all second nature, man. And then when you're young and dumb, you don't really see it. We're more conscious now because of online, because of the way we're so easily able to connect. But when we were growing up, it was just our world. We didn't have an extended world. My world extended when I extended myself and went and ventured out into the rest of the city. We didn't have the opportunity to have an extended world like that, like we have now. So the youth is way more conscious now. Battle Rap Encyclopedia, stay safe everyone, don't commit crimes. You can't vote with a felony. Hell yeah, look at that, that's real rap right there. Battle Rap Encyclopedia, sharing that real rap. I think now more than ever, we got the opportunity to see, because I like to speak just more bluntly. And now more than ever, we're seeing change because of diversity in school. As far as racism being generational, and that's how deeply rooted it is, the youth now, the white youth is separating from that aspect. There's a bigger separation probably than ever before. I don't know how. I can't sit here and be like, is that gigantic a separate, but it's got to be a bigger separation now, because we're so, minorities are just so deeply ingrained into media and sporting events, and it's just the culture and the lifestyle is being spread all over the world. So I think we're creating a bigger gap now more than ever from that generational racism, which I think is we still got probably generations to go before there's even super huge noticeable difference in how we interact with each other. We're different in so many ways, but we aren't that different in the grand scheme of things. The generational influences is what changes a lot of people, and now more than ever we have this online world where we're able to kind of see things for ourselves and take things in. If you think poor black people are so much different than poor white people, you've never been poor. When you're poor, you kind of get a better understanding of how there wouldn't be much differences. The main difference there, and that's why I was talking about classism the other day, is because the main difference there as well is when the poor black people meet up with poor minorities meet up with middle to upper class majority. And when that clash happens, mix classism with racism, that's why a lot of this stuff means something, is because although white poor people may have the same hardships as poor black people, the difference is when you're coming up, when you come out of that neighborhood, like when I leave the Lower East Side, you leave your neighborhood, there's a greater world. It just seems, in my opinion, there's a greater world for lighter colored skin. You don't have to walk fearful. And I'm not somebody who walks fearful personally. I'm not a fearful type of person. And like I said, from young, I grew up in New York, so I was always exploring from young. Nobody could hold me back from young. That's always how I've been. I didn't care who, what color, I didn't care about nothing or nobody when I was growing up. Nobody could tell me nothing. I'm dolo, hood, and I look like a hood kid, but I'm walking up in FAO Schwartz because I wanted to. So everybody else walking in there, why can't I walk in there? You know what I'm saying? So, and I never paid attention to people staring at me. I was not somebody who paid attention to people staring at me. I guess the only thing that obsessed me a little is that these movements only happen when there's race involved. That it goes to show, I mean, you think about it, how long has this been happening, B? That's more so the concern, is that even throughout all the protests and throughout everything, civil rights movements and all of that, there's not much change. You feel what I'm saying? Even if we got this connection, how does it still happen, B? How is it that we get something like George Floyd to happen, right? Mind you, the culture's ingrained in everything right now. You can't put on the TV without seeing a commercial with some sort of hip hop culture type of thing. You see black people in commercials. You see minorities damn near everywhere now. That's the reason why it's still about race, because it still happens like that. There shouldn't be listen, B, and that's what I was talking about, the ignorance, B. The ignorance is like, and what I mean, and I don't mean ignorance in a bad way. I mean ignorance for its like rightful meaning, not knowing, like just not knowing. You don't know any better, so you approach black people with fear, and it's just. Listen, I grew up, and I don't consider myself a crazy dude, but growing up, I didn't see color. If I was gonna smack somebody, if somebody disrespected me, it didn't matter if you was Puerto Rican, Dominican, black. It just didn't matter. When I got angry, I'm approaching everybody. It don't matter. And I always would. We were deep. We were real deep growing up. But I will always make sure that I give everybody the opportunity to whoop my behind. So I would approach them by myself. So I could actually approach people with 15, 20 deep. But I say, I'll save that for another time. And I go find the person and approach them by myself to give them an opportunity to whip my behind. And what I'm saying by that is, it didn't matter if you was black. It didn't matter if you was tall, big, light-skinned or dark-skinned. It didn't matter to me. And what I mean by that is, that's how much we're all the same, B. That's what people just don't. If you're not in the culture, if you can't really get a feel, you're looking at, a lot of people are looking at minorities or black people from the depictions that they get from the internet, and the internet is giving you a false depiction of our culture. Everybody is really very similar, man, with fears and insecurities all the same. It's unfortunate that you can't get into it to see it, because you could release a lot of your anxieties if you just got in to see it. You could release a lot of your fears if you just got in to see the culture. Greed, right? We know we know America's known for greed, right? Like when is like enough money enough? You get wealthy white America that worry about losing sponsorships or connections with these generational this is where you start learning how deep the stuff is, because if a white person, a wealthy white person, I'm not saying this for everybody, but I know that this is out there, wealthy white person goes and speaks out and takes a stand for Black Lives Matter, the politics behind it might cost that wealthy white person a whole lot of money in the next coming year, because there's politics behind just the word Black Lives Matter, which there shouldn't be, but there's politics behind this, so much so that they created and weaponized All Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has been weaponized as well. You go and take a stand for something that you think you're standing right for, and you lose money which could have served as college tuition for next 2 generations. And that's how they think. They don't think that, not they, I don't mean to say they or this, but a lot of people think that way. Don't think that enough money is enough money. Too fearful for some people to take a stand. Country filled with opportunists, man. I feel all you're saying facts. I guess what I was getting at is there's no awareness or movement when we kill our own. It's very true. I hate to bring that up. You know, I hate the idea of when we kill our own, because like I said, I'm from the hood. And there's a reason why we're killing our own. You know what I mean? If we're going to start, if you want to bring up the idea of killing our own, then we're not 5-year-olds pulling out guns and killing people. You know what I'm saying? So there's a whole systemic process from poor schools, poor neighborhoods that not invest in programs that are not invested into the youth of the neighborhoods to help bring them up properly, and invest in the youth of an inner city neighborhood to help invest in our future. That's not the thought process. The thought process is quite the opposite, and is more so in line with keeping you systemically like held back. So you get poorer schools, poorer teachers. The budget is not there to get better teaching or better schooling. The budget is not there to kind of get better programs to help keep kids interested in different things. Instead, kids are more interested in getting out into the street. So when we talk about killing each other, it's not just, make my hair stand up, because it's not just something that just happened. It was a whole systemic process that started from kindergarten all the way on up. And now you're there, a teenager, damn near dropping out of high school, thinking, hey, do I go work out at McDonald's? Go rob somebody? Do I go sell drugs? These choices. And then you see your homie at the same time come pull up with a chain that's too big for him to even have on his neck, and he's like, yo, yeah, I just got paid, B. Took me a week to get this chain. Like, word. And not to mention the confinement in the hood. I mean, like I'm from the Lower East Side of Manhattan, B. And the reason why I keep saying this is because Manhattan is like the melting pot. This is where you're supposed to see the most like diversity. There was no diversity where I grew up. You're supposed to see the most diversity, and I didn't see no diversity where I grew up. That's how confined we were. Imagine being from Manhattan and you don't see white people. Take that in for a second. You're growing up in the most diverse, probably one of the most diverse areas in the world, period. Supposed to be this called the melting pot, and you don't see white people growing up. Take that in for a second, B. Imagine the separation. I would venture out. It's not like I didn't see a white person at all growing up. I'm just speaking about my neighborhood that was like boxed in, separate away from the rest of Manhattan. And we're talking about a span. You could go through the whole East River, and we're talking about blocks upon blocks. Listen, the 3 projects alone that were connected with me span about 21 blocks. These are 14-story tall buildings. 21 blocks of 14 stories tall buildings. Some of y'all in different states don't even have 14-story tall buildings. It's all love out here, man. We're just sharing our experiences, you feel me? Like sharing our experiences, because if you could bridge some sort of gap, we have a lot of white people who play with us. We have a lot of black people who play with us, Spanish people. I'm Puerto Rican myself, but I grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly black and Puerto Rican. But if we could kind of bridge some sort of gap, because one thing that we all got in common, the reason there's 107 people in here right now, what we all got in common is We enjoy playing 2K. I don't know if maybe enjoyment is a far stretch, but we play 2K. Maybe I should say that. We play 2K, whether you're enjoying yourself or not. Like I said, frustrations are real high and incentives are real low. Don't allow like generational experiences to deny what's in front of you. You're a white person having a good experience with a black person. Let it be that, B. But understand that there's some underlying issues there that maybe you're just not aware of. Same with a black person with a white person. You know, you have a good experience with a white person. Let it be that. But always got to be some respect for the underlying issues that brought us to the moment where you could have that one good experience, because back then there wasn't even an opportunity to have that good experience, and now at least we have an opportunity to kind of see each other. Got to be seen, you got to be heard. So when something like Black Lives Matter evolves, that's saying I'm trying to be seen, I'm trying to be heard. Although we know Black Lives Matter has been kind of weaponized, and All Lives Matter was also weaponized. It's unfortunate because that wasn't the root behind creating Black Lives Matter. So when I have Black Lives Matter plastered across the screen there, it's for a different reason. It's not for any type of political gain or cause. It's more so for me growing up in the hood. Yo, enough is enough, man. We're way too connected. We're way too educated in this stuff now to be having to go through the same thing with very little progress but talking. How is it that back then we had civil rights movements and then years later we get riots? The systemic processes of all of this stuff go a lot deeper than the actual murder. And I think that's what we need to kind of take into consideration as well. Racism and classism go a lot deeper than actual physical acts. If you're not standing in, listen, take for a second, if you just let go of TV for a little while, how free your mind will get. If you take more control of what you allow into your mind, there's not no corny stuff. I'm not trying to be no corny dude. I'm just saying there's a process that I've practiced where I don't allow media into my mind. Don't allow certain things to come in and influence. If you understand the systemic processes behind things like media and free Bill Cosby, there's a way of breaking down, you know, most minority kids, a lot of minority kids, I should say, growing up don't have their dad there. And someone like Bill Cosby was the dad to a lot of families. It was the influential male role model that's not present in a lot of minority households. A lot of influential figures get taken down. Don't really get to understand like how systemic, how deep these processes are. Just a white kid from a small town, and I want to apologize to all people of color for my ignorance. While I wasn't outright racist growing up, I realized the small acts of racism I portrayed. Shout out to Troy Grits, man. That's Troy Grits. Troy Grits is white. And it's just an ignorance there. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you just, it's not even seeing it in a bad way. It's just it's a cultural separation, man. I don't like a lot of like quote unquote black TV. It's not my experience, B. I grew up predominantly black, predominantly Puerto Rican. I don't even like watching this stuff because it's so false. Is a misrepresentation of like what black culture be about, and it irks the hell out of me. It's like for instance, and let's not even talk about black. Let's say they make a Puerto Rican show, and that Puerto Rican show is so far off from me being Puerto Rican. Think I'm gonna watch that show? In fact, it might even get me upset that that's out there and is showing other people this whole nonsense that's not Puerto Rican. So imagine, you know, somebody who has no connection with black people because there's no black people for miles on in their neighborhood, and they go see, you know, these shows. They have a different idea of, they're looking at it through someone else's production lens, and that's what people forget, that what you're seeing online is a production, is an artwork, it's someone else's vision of what people are. As difficult as it is to pinpoint blackness or brownness in a show, especially a series that's long standing, as difficult as it is to pinpoint that, don't go so far off. Even some of the hood shows that are selling out, like even some of the hood reality shows and things like that are just completely selling for production. So now you got a culture. You got people trying to dive into the culture, and they taking this stuff in to dive into the culture. So now I'm gonna tell you a story, and this to kind of let you guys understand, like, so you can really take in how cultural differences could really get you in trouble. Very easy. Take LA and New York. LA and New York. Take a hood dude from LA, put him in. Matter of fact, I have two separate stories because the same thing happened from New York to LA. So my next door neighbor's son grew up with me, ended up moving to LA, shot in the head. Cultural differences, yeah. Now, I wasn't there in LA when he got shot, so all I know, he got killed. So I know he had a New York culture, moved to LA, and got killed in LA. But one thing I was here for was watching a LA dude move to my neighborhood. If y'all don't know about the Lower East Side is its own thing. So it wasn't too much. You can't really there wasn't like separate gangs. LES was the gang. Saying? Even if you was a Blood or a Crip, you had to rep LES like first. So LA dude comes through flagging. Don't know what this dude was thinking. I have no idea. There's cultural differences, y'all, so you can understand. Now we're talking about hood cultures, like hood cultures clashing, which there should be more similarities there, you feel me? There should be less opportunities to clash. 3 flags on wrists. He had flags on, like holding his pants leg up, a headband flag hanging out the pocket, and then walking through the hood. This dude was not even there, probably not even a week, B. Out there chilling on the bench. My man Harold, shout out to my homie Harold. He says he's going to the Ave. It's like a few minutes, and the Ave is not too far from where we were sitting. So he goes to the Ave. We hear gunshots, pum, pum, pum. We run to the Ave because Harold just went to the Ave a second ago. And guess who's dead on the ground? The dude who was flagging. So happened to look at somebody wrong, and Harold was right there when it happened. Dude just looked at another dude that was walking by. Who popped them. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that if there's like these cultural differences between hoods, like just somebody from one hood who grew up in this culture coming to another hood and just trying to blend in and understand could have this amount of trouble. Imagine taking a white cop from the suburbs who never experienced black people or black culture in his entire life, and you're gonna go put him in the hood. Imagine what's gonna happen. Give this guy authority. You're gonna give him a badge. You're gonna give him a gun. You're gonna give him bullets, a bulletproof vest, ready for war, and go put him in the hood. Of course there's gonna be... It's just like a perfect storm. It's the perfect storm, B. And then you add Pride, the academy just beating you in the head with Pride. Whatever happened to like diffusing? You know how I was talking earlier how they weaponize Black Lives Matter, just the words? How in office politics weaponizes these words, and they weaponize all lives matter. Why isn't diffusing situations? Why isn't that used as a weapon in the academy? Why is it when you're going through your training, why isn't like psychology and things of this nature priority for becoming a cop? Understanding the mental, understanding mannerism, behaviorism. Why isn't that like part of the whole process for becoming a cop? You should think a little deeper, especially when words are coming out your mouth. This is why it's so important to listen more than you speak, so you get to a point where what you're speaking has some relevance or value. You know, look into it before you go preaching all lives matter, before you go preaching Black Lives Matter. Look into it a little bit, so you know there's some underlying factors. You know, the same reason why this is all happening in the first place. If you go speak something that you don't know about, if you go put your nose into some that you don't fully know about, you can get yourself in trouble. The same thing as racism, man. The same exact thing. Max Repetitions is a cop. He said a lot of cops are very insecure people that have never tasted authority. So now they got a badge. They want to instill that power, and that's the issue. Which I believe that's a huge part of it. I believe that's a huge part of it. But you're putting these cops in neighborhoods where kids didn't grow up with dads. Majority of kids didn't grow up with dads. I had one friend growing up that had his real dad there. You take these authority figures that are not even like, whether you're white or black, whatever, a cop, take these authority figures and go put them in a neighborhood of kids, youth, people that didn't grow up with dads. So they've been making their own decisions. Mind you, I was out my house at 16. I was paying rent. 2-bedroom apartment, paying rent. 16 years old. Take that in for a second, y'all. So what I'm saying is you got these kids that we're used to making our own decisions from young, B. You ain't finna tell me nothing. Badge, gun, don't matter nothing. I live like I'm a respectable person. I'm respectful to other people. Don't tell me nothing. And the problem lies therein where you got somebody like myself. Thank God none of this ever happened, but I'm sure there's scenarios out there who trying to just, go about their business, go to work, come home, do what they do, and then you get an authority figure coming out of nowhere on a traffic stop, or whether you're getting off the train, and you end up in a situation that is super unfortunate. That's because you're not used to having an authority figure. So, these insecure cops that Max was talking about, perfect storm, man. Authority is supposed to be just that. Shouldn't be insecurity in authority. Authority is lead. The reason why there's insecurities is because there's no education, man. It's not a proper line of education to actually give someone that badge. Have I ever been discriminated? It's something that I just wasn't conscious of. My whole existence growing up was discrimination. Like I said, imagine growing up in Manhattan, the melting pot, and you don't see white people ever in your neighborhood for years on end. And it's not to say that white people are supposed to come to our neighborhood. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm saying is the separation factor, the process to separate people. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not speaking about an individual white person having to actually walk into our neighborhood. I'm talking about the processes put in place to keep people separated is what discrimination is. Systemic. And things that I don't, until we start talking about this stuff, this is how I live my life. Like, I don't let this stuff cloud my mind. I don't walk around with hate. I don't walk around thinking like, it's unfortunate that these circumstances happen and they still exist, but I don't walk around thinking like, I was a victim or I am a victim. I never be. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I'm thinking of times as I'm reminiscing here with you guys. I'm thinking of like times just being in the hallway, young. I was talking about this the other day on live stream. Young, we would play in the hallway sometimes. Cops just coming out with guns on us. And and I don't mean to laugh because that's a very serious situation, but the cops just bursting into the hallway with guns drawn on us, and it didn't faze us. We just ran, and the cops couldn't catch us. Too slow and chubby. We skipping down like whole flights of steps. But just think of that, B, because do you know how upset if I know that it's my kid running from another man pointing a gun at him? Although it didn't faze me as a kid growing up, and it doesn't faze me to this day, I don't allow it to have that much of a stranglehold or stronghold on me or my life. My kid, put that gun on my kid, and it's a whole different story. Let me find out another man point the gun at my kid, and it's a whole different story. You're gonna want to pop his top off, take his head off. Feel what I'm saying? So these are the type of things that, although it didn't faze me, this is how we could understand. Like, that's wild. How do you come out and point a gun at kids, B? Bulletproof vest, flashlight, mace, all this stuff, but your choice is to you know how kids sound in the hallway. You're a grown man, you know how kids sound in the hallway, B. And if you don't know, that's the problem that the homie Max was talking about, EG was talking about. If you don't know, that's the problem with what's going on with putting cops in neighborhoods that they just don't have no understanding of the culture. Like, I could sense bad things. Like you just have this intuition it is instilled in you. If you don't know as a cop that you're given a gun where there's a bad situation, then that's your first problem, B. Not saying that things cannot happen, but you have it's a sixth sense, man. Get that feeling like, something bad's about to happen, but you don't hear kids in the hallway and say, something's bad happening right there. Well, all the years I spent in the BX, And I want to kind of help you guys understand how these cultural shocks could happen to anybody. And although it could be easy, I was able to easily adapt as well. I remember very clear the first day. Now I'm fresh. I'm super fresh. Hair curled up and everything. Looking extra Southside, extra Spanish, extra non-hood. Had my shoes on. I'm on my grown man type of stuff. I'm fresh and I haven't had to be involved in this BX lifestyle in years. It had been years already that had passed. I was already about making my money. I was already about, being on my grown man stuff. And I come to the BX, the 169th and 3rd Avenue to move. And it's a cultural shock. And it wasn't really that I was clean or nothing like that. Had nothing to do with it. It was my mannerisms, it just kind of, like I said, you grow up with certain intuitions, B. And I had lost touch with those intuitions, which I thought at that time, you couldn't tell me I lost touch with those intuitions until I was going. You had to take the train to 149th and 3rd and then take a bus because there was no other train that went over there. Then take a bus to 169th and 3rd. And people were taking in all, you can't, and you just exuding that you're out of touch. People take that in ASAP. I mean, I was able to adapt real quick, but I'm just saying people take that in ASAP. You feel that. I feel that now. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, it was the ignorance. I didn't know. And I lost touch. And then I'm there, and it was like, and I'm thinking I'm good everywhere. I already had that AllCity mentality. I'm good everywhere until I go back, and it took me back to my Lower East Side days. Like, as if I was taking the bus through my old neighborhood. How would this dude look to me? It's that cultural difference is what could happen very easily to everybody. I haven't even mentioned like God and how much of a difference that makes in a lot of people's lives. And it's unfortunate that even politics gets involved in religion. It's scary to think about like lives, people just living life without God. It's humbling to know that there's a higher power. If you take that humility out of people, they tend to overexert themselves. If you're humble enough to know that there's a higher power, there's really no need to overexert yourself. To take the weight off of your shoulders, you feel what I mean? So many people walking around with like 100-pound weights, just like 200-pound shoulder. Let it go, B. You're not controlling it. So all too often, you know what happens as well, man? People think they have so much control over everything. And as years pass by, even the decisions that you spend the most time thinking of, let's say you spend a week trying to make a certain decision. As I'm getting older now, I'm able to look back on things that I invested so much time in. It's damn. And I don't mean actual, like, I just mean so much of myself. Like you invested all your energy into so meaningless. 5 years later, you don't get to learn those things until time. Like hindsight is 2020, but a lot of people kind of cloud their own hindsight. It's like, easy, B. This path is written, coach. Let it go. Have faith. Be humble. Chill, my G. Just chill, bro. You like going nowhere super fast. A lot of people just go nowhere super fast and swear they got the answers to all of this stuff. You may not have been presented with the opportunity to have the utmost faith. What I can say is that you are going to be presented with opportunities to have the utmost faith. Life humbles you. Life humbles everybody one way or another. You decide to show that or not, that's really on you. One way or another, life will find a way to humble you. You gotta take that in. Some people are not really comfortable with living humble. You know what I'm saying? Some people they find it as weakness. I've never been weak in my life, ever. Something that we gotta take into consideration as a generation. Everything is more accessible now. Everything is easily accessible now. So we're able to spread knowledge even quicker, which makes it more frustrating that there aren't bigger leaders out there. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody said they need a Black Lives Matter leader. And it makes it more frustrating that there aren't bigger voices out there because it's so easy to share your voice. It's so easy to kind of get on and say, yo, I'm finna share my voice. I don't care about the repercussions, man. Shout out to Charlemagne, man. Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club went crazy. Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club said, I don't care about my platform. I care about my people. And he just went no holds bar. They're trying. Some people trying, but there's people with a lot. There's people of color with a lot of money that aren't stepping up to the plate. I'm not saying that they need to be involved, but it's so easy to have a voice. You just go sit in your home, hit start recording, and then share. Why isn't this like the new wave? Let you go and drop an album, let you go and start a new TV show, let you go start a new talk show, let you go have a new movie coming out. You're on the late show, you're on the late night show, you're on the radio doing promos, you're touring. So you understand the processes for something like that to help you get more money in. Aspiring to be like some of these people. We only know what we're given. Like I said, production. We only know what we're given. We don't know none of these people. Half of the people that you're around. Half of the people that you're around right now for the last few months, you barely know. It takes years to know somebody, and I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to know how long it takes to actually know somebody. It takes years for you to find out who you are. Imagine how long it's gonna take for you to find out who a stranger is. Try not to consume my mind with a lot of stuff. So like, especially things that stir me up. So obviously Drew Brees says something that didn't sit well with a lot of people, but I haven't even seen it or heard about it, and there's a certain freedom in that. Take that in for a second. There's a certain freedom in that, man. So you're not getting upset about what perfect. Drew Brees is a perfect stranger to me. I never see that man. I'll never see that man. A lot of things that we let take stock up in our mind are unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Because Drew Brees who is Drew Brees? Just like Drew Brees was be like, yo, who is this little Puerto Rican dude? Is because all he had to do is the reason why something like that is offensive is because it's the same difference as a weapon. It's the same difference as saying all lives matter when people are saying Black Lives Matter. Why do all lives, or why does the words Black Lives Matter, like why do people feel that that's some sort of insinuation that all lives don't matter? So the reason is very similar in that sense, because if he's gonna go and say that he feels it's disrespectful to the flag, you could just shut up and stay on over to the side, because you're not understanding why people are choosing to take a kneel during the national anthem. So just shut up and stay on over to the side, B. Because it's obviously a bigger issue at hand. You're taking a knee because of what's going on in America. America is disrespecting America by not taking a bigger stand on what's going on. So someone taking a knee, and for someone like Drew Brees to even comment on that is exactly why I try not to clutter my mind with that stuff, because it stirs up too much emotion, and it's so like slap in the face kind of stupid for you to even say a comment and not take notice as to what's actually happening. So much so that it reached an NFL football star and touched him so much that he decided to take a knee. And America won't even take notice of what's going on, and instead we're gonna have football games and try to entertain people as if none of the stuff is happening. That's why it's disrespectful. This is what people need to understand. That's why it comes across as disrespectful. You go ahead and shut up and stay on over to the side. Let somebody do what their God-given right is to do. If they don't want to stand for the national anthem or they want to take a knee, let them take a knee. What does it have to do with you, B? Listen, if there was nothing real going on in the country, if there wasn't actually these events happening in the country, then I could understand that maybe you have something to say. But there's actual media like talking about everything that's unfolding, and here you go and opening your mouth for no good reason. It's probably, just a distraction, because look at how easily I got stirred up. And this is what you got to kind of take into consideration. Even if you find yourself getting stirred up, understand that a lot of this stuff is distractions, B. Look how easily I went from saying I don't even like cluttering my mind with this nonsense because it stirs me up. Then I read what somebody said, what Drew Brees said, and I get easily stirred up. This is what you guys need to see in yourselves, B. Whenever you're taking in any of this information, any of the information, See that in yourself. Don't let it throw you off of your grind or whatever you got going. Because that's what this stuff is, a distraction, man. Don't let it distract you to hate more. Don't let it distract you to love like the wrong way. But if y'all out there and you find yourself easily influenced over nonsense, be it, there's no confusion, man. Someone finds him kneeling being disrespectful, then they're idiots. Because I grew up where if you disrespected, a lot crazier things happen to you than someone just kneeling. So we know that kneeling is peaceful. It's like as humbling and as peaceful as you can get, period, taking a knee. So for someone to kind of change that all around, easily dismissed and pushed over to the side. Won't even hear them. They have no room in my mind and are taking up no stock, none of my thoughts. All right, my homies, you already know. Peace and love to all of y'all. Stay blessed. Easy, y'all.